Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Seiler, and it's my privilege to be your moderator tonight for the Eudora School Board Candidates Forum. As many know, I taught 8th grade English in Eudora and coached for 33 years. During that time, I served as president of the Eudora Teachers Association for a number of years, so I know a little bit about the school district. For tonight's forum, I reached out to a number of local educational experts. They provided questions for tonight, and I pared down the responses to compose the list. Each candidate will have the opportunity to respond to each question. The order of speakers was determined randomly. There are 4 candidates running for 3 expired at-large school board seats and 3 candidates running for 1 unexpired term. Candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each question. Before we start with questions, I'd like to thank the Eudora Community Library, the Eudora Democrats, and USD 491 for sponsoring tonight's forum. I'd like to also thank Penny Von Aken for coordinating this event, Noreen Spears for volunteering to be our technical director, and Becky Plate for her work in publicizing this event. Tonight's forum is being taped and will be posted on the Eudora Community Library's website and USD 491's website. Now, let's meet our candidates. The first 4 speakers are running for 3 open seats. Please state your name and tell us about yourself and your motivation for running for the Eudora School Board. Our first candidate will be Eric Votaw.
Hey, good evening. Thank you, Bob. And I want to thank Penny, Noreen, Becky, everyone that's helped put on this event this evening. Appreciate your help in generating awareness and support of the election that's coming up. Quickly, my background is I am a lifelong Eudora resident, born and raised here, alumni of the school system. I've been a board member for about 12 and a half years now, of which 8 of those years I served as the board president. I have 3 children, all that have gone through or are currently enrolled in the school system, including my 2 youngest, which is my son Maddox, who's a junior, and my son Lincoln, who is an 8th grader. So just it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to serve on the board, and I look forward to the opportunity to hopefully continue to serve on the board. Just because this is the town I love, this is the school that I love, the community that it creates, and it's just great being a part of this community and being able to serve my friends and family in this way.
Thank you. Heather Whalen.
Hi, everybody. Good night. Good evening. It's nice to be a part of this. Again, like Eric said, I want to thank everyone who's made this evening possible. It's a great opportunity for us to get together and share our ideas and hopes and dreams for the Eudora School District. My husband Thad and I have 3 children in the Eudora school system. I'm an educator by profession. I have been teaching in many different capacities over the past 25 years. I also have my master's degree in education administration and building leadership. Many of my years of teaching have been in the urban core. I taught in Kansas City, Kansas and Kansas City, Missouri. I also have been a co-founder of 2 nonprofits in the urban core that serve the community around 31st and Prospect. In 1999, we started a foundation called the Hope Center, and it serves as a leadership and training program, after school tutoring, and that led to the start of a school that I helped write the charter for, called Hope Leadership Academy. That is a school that I have served on for the last 12 years as a school board member. I've enjoyed doing that very much, and then we have been a part of the Eudora school system for 7 years, and this is a home. We love being here. We've been involved in different capacities on the site council, and I look forward to hopefully serving this community as a board member.
Thank you, Heather. Joe Hurla.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you to all the organizers and to everybody who's attending this evening to learn about all the candidates. So as Bob mentioned, I'm Joe Hurla. I am a native of Northeast Kansas. I've lived in Eudora along with my wife, Shanda, for the past 20 years. We also we have 4 children, 4 boys in the school district, 1 in each of the 3 attendance centers. Parker is a junior in high school. Lincoln is an 8th grader. That is a different Lincoln than Eric Botaw has, but they're both in 8th grade. And then Grant is a 6th grader, and Langston is a 3rd grader. So we're spread across all the facilities. And really my reason for running for the school board is pretty straightforward. Obviously, as I mentioned, I've got kids in each of the buildings, and I obviously care about their own education, but also education for the community. And I think over the last 10 years as a member of the board, I feel like we've made a lot of strides in advancing what Eudora is able to offer to our students and to the community. And I want to continue the momentum that we've begun to build and move past some of the challenges we've had here in the last 18 months and start to build on that foundation that we've already constructed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Kelso.
Hello, I'm Mike Kelso. Appreciate very much the sponsors of the event, the Douglas County Democrats, Eudora Public Library, and USD 491, and Penny, Bob, Noreen, and Becky, and all others that helped put in time for this. I've been a resident of the Eudora area for about 30 years. I grew up in Overland Park, and so I'm a lifelong Kansan. I met my wife at K-State, and she told me we weren't going to live in the city, so I moved to the country in the Eudora area and never looked back. My wife taught in Eudora for nearly 20 years and has now moved on and works for the Kansas State Department of Education in Topeka. I have 2 sons who both went to Eudora K through 12. I've been on the board, just like with Eric, for about 12 and a half years. 10 years of that, I've also had the privilege and the honor to serve on the East Central Kansas Cooperative for Education Board, and the last 8 years of that 10 have served as either the vice president or president and have been on the negotiating committee for 5 years. And why I want to serve on the board, Eudora has done so much for my family, and this is my small way of giving back. And as long as the voters of Eudora will have me, I will continue to serve gladly and openly. Thank you.
Thank you. The next 3 speakers are running for 1 open seat. Karis Grostadere.
Hi, thank you to all the organizers. I am a mother of 2, both of my children have gone to Eudora schools. I'm a nurse practitioner, and I have a lot of nieces and nephews and that go to Eudora schools. I'm really interested in being on the board as a way to also give back to the community and to be there for my nieces and nephews. I've coached youth sports in Eudora for many years when my kids were younger. I was also a part of the EAVSA board for, I think, 3 years. Honestly, really, I just wanted to get involved and put myself out there.
Thank you. Samantha Arredondo.
Hi, I'm Samantha. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, everyone, for putting this on tonight. This is really great. And running, yes, for the unexpired term. I've served for the past 2 years on the board. I was appointed the past 2 years ago, right in February of 2020. We all know what happened in March, right? So it was just such an honor to the board members, to entrust me in that seat. I really think it tells a lot about the board that we currently have. They took a chance on a girl they didn't know. My husband and I, we have lived here in Eudora for the last 7 years. We have 2 children in the district. Julian's in 3rd grade, Evelyn's in 2nd grade. I also am a native Kansan, have lived in Kansas my entire life. My husband and I, we picked this community for the schools and the location. The reason in wanting to run is, to give back to your community. And also just, we are raising children of the world here, and to be a small part in that for the Eudora community that's given so much to us. Thanks.
Thank you. Claire Harding.
That's me, 7th in this list. I also have great appreciation for our moderators and the organizers of the event, all the volunteerism that it took. I grew up in North Central Kansas on a farm. So I'm a farm girl. I met my husband, like Mike met his wife, at Kansas State. When we began to have a family, we were searching for a place to call home with really strong schools and with a good location. Samantha mentioned that too, close to where Sean was going to work in Johnson County. This felt more like us. So we landed here with good schools. It was difficult to find our way, find our community until our oldest went to school. And then I was able to volunteer with the PTO and the site councils, really found that Eudora was home for us, and we've been here 14 years. Now our kids are in 5th grade, all boys. Campbell's in 5th grade. Sawyer's in, what are their names? Sawyer is in middle school as an 8th grader, and Mason is a freshman. PTO volunteerism, the site council, ways to give back. One way that I saw the impact of what volunteers could do also beyond just at the elementary school with students was serving on the foundation board. I got to do that for 6 years and just came off in May. I miss my fall foundation events, but am still tethered to them as an alumni. Other things, reasons why I'm serving. Want to serve as a school board.
Claire, I'm gonna interrupt you here just for a second. You're
Yes.
Over your time. If you wanted to continue on to the next question, you can do that, all right?
Thank you.
We really need to kind of hold it at 1 minute if we can.
Thank you.
All right. Question number 1. School boards have several different functions, ranging from hiring the superintendent, setting policies, monitoring the budget, and others. What do you consider to be the most important function of the school board, and how are you suited to contribute to this function? We'll start off with Samantha Arredondo.
Thank you. Yeah, the most important function, we do a lot of things, right? There's a lot of topics. The school board sets the tone. It sets the tone and it sets the policy for everyone within the district during our assignment. I think, you know, what's really makes this school great and the district great is we have amazing staff. We have amazing staff. We have amazing community. In my professional career, I'm a creative recruiter for Omnicom Health Group based out of New York City. So my job is to recruit, retain talent, right? And so that's a skill I can bring to the board as we talk about staff and retention. Also, having kids in, right, we have a vested outcome, vested in the outcome of this for the kids here, and really just again that service and to be part of the community.
Thank you. Claire Harding.
I obviously need to work on succinct answers, so I'll do my very best to pay attention to our timeline. Thanks for everyone for giving me the heads up. I think the role of school board is to firstly be leaders. We need to be, if I'm allowed the privilege to serve, are leaders in our community. We are serving as the bridge between what the community's priorities and needs are and the school district, and how the policies that we make and the financial decisions that we make, the management of those financial resources actually impact students' priorities and needs. Also, board members have to be dedicated. They have to be committed. I know it's a giant time commitment. It's not show up to the meeting and expect to do the work. I believe that I have shown through all of my volunteerism that those are things that I care about. Commitment, I'm curious, I listen, and I'm ready to serve on the school board.
Thank you. Karis Grostedeer.
So the function of the school board should be students first in their education. The school board does a lot of things, as you mentioned, hire the superintendent, make policies, things like that. And One thing also that the school board is accountable to the public for their tax dollars, and as Claire said, a bridge between administrators and the public, although our administrators are very accessible. One thing that I think that I would bring to the board is as our board right now does a really good job listening to administrators, but I would be sure to look to them as experts in the schools, and really listen to their input as far as the policies in the school.
Thank you. Heather Whalen.
As many have pointed out, I think the board plays many roles. And in a community such as Eudora, it's a place the board serves. Not just, they're not tucked far away and no one in the community gets to know them. They really are the bridge between the community and the educational policies. I also think something that the board does, there's two kind of roles in my opinion to the board. There's the business side that has to do the fiscal responsibility, that has to plan for the future with building maintenance and school bonds and things like that. So I think there's definitely the business side, but I think there's also the educational side. And I think it's really important that there is an educator on the school board. My role in Kansas City, as I've served on the board for 12 years, I've learned the value of sitting down around a table and making policy decisions with business minds, but then able to bring some of that, my being a teacher, to bring the education side to that, because the business world and the education world often are very, very different and look very, very different. And I've gained a great respect for learning the business side of a school board, but I also feel like it's really valuable to share my input regarding how those policies that the board makes, how those play out in a classroom, because it's very important to see that side too.
Thank you, Heather. Joe Hurla.
Yeah, so I think the school board first and foremost sets the tone and the direction for the district and for the community. Much like a board for a private business, we establish a strategic direction, and then we hire hopefully a great team to carry out that vision. And I think one thing that has been pretty effective by the school board has been, I think we have a great new superintendent, we have great administrators in our facilities, and we have a great staff. Part of our role is to trust them to do their jobs and empower them to go out and be very effective in those roles. So I think that we are always striving to do better at that, but I think that that's part of the role of the board. And then also to hold them accountable. And that's especially, it's been mentioned a couple times, on the financial and fiscal side, to make sure that we are monitoring district and community financial commitments, and ultimately to ensure that we are following through on the direction that's been established.
Thank you. Mike Kelso.
I've always viewed the board, much like Joe started off his answer with, as a board of directors, like a company would have, and our superintendent's the CEO. And none of us are experts in everything that goes on in the district. We all bring our own backgrounds, our own skill sets, and through the people that we hire, the superintendent, the administrators, the teachers, we're going to absorb their knowledge in making the tough decisions that we have to make. And I've always viewed that every decision, every vote that we ever make affects, in my mind, three groups of people. The first being students, second being staff, and the third being parents and patrons of the district. And each one of those groups are important in all the decisions that we have to make.
Thank you. Eric Votaw.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. So I view the main function of the school board is number one, to set the vision for the district and for our staff and for our students. And that starts by ensuring that we have the right person as our CEO, as our superintendent, and then putting a strong team around them in all facets of the district. And so in order to do that, though, and to have a good board of directors, I feel like we need good, dedicated, passionate leaders of the community who want to set policy in a positive and dynamic way that represents the values of the community. So it's important to have as well sort of a financial acumen to you, sort of that the ability to understand maybe complex financial matters, but it's also important to understand maybe that aspect that might be impacting a teacher or a student, and getting a sense of how you support them. So I know I'm short on time, but just years of experience on the board, being dedicated in being at every meeting, being in the lead of a financial operations organization, all those different sort of factors, I think, play an important role in why I'm a sound candidate for that position.
Thank you, Eric. Let's move on to question number 2. Please tell us 1 or 2 things that you value about our school district, things you're really proud of, but also tell us 1 area in our district that you feel could be improved. First up, Joe Hurla.
Yeah, so thank you. I think there are a lot of strengths that we could explore, but a handful of those, I think our staff is, as they've demonstrated really over the last 18 months, more than ever, is very committed to the success of our students in our school district. And I think if there is a positive reflection on the school board, it is that we have been able to play a role in bringing some of those staff and keeping them and hoping to work with them through this time. So I think that the staff, including teachers, administrators, bus drivers, food service staff, everybody is a huge part of it. The support of our community, we see great things from the community. We know how involved parents and other community members are in activities across the district. Is tremendous. And for a district of our size, we have a relatively high number of opportunities for students to get involved in a wide array of things. On the weaknesses or challenges side, real briefly, I think we're a property poor district and thus a financially challenged district. And I think that's something that we grapple with year after year, month after month, is making sure that we find a way to be fiscally responsible and to make the most of the resources we have.
Thank you, Joe. Mike Kelso.
I'm going to predict that a lot of us have the same answer here for our strengths, in that it's our people. Our people are amazing. Our staff from the top to the bottom, starting at the superintendent. And I don't want to leave anybody out, but as Joe mentioned, whether it's the teachers, the administrators, the office workers, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, you name it, we have fantastic people. And along those lines, we're one of the few districts in the state that don't have problems hiring people like bus drivers, because they're so proud to work for Eudora. Our facilities are fantastic for a district our size, but we still have to keep maintaining them as well. And for a district our size, we also have an amazing number of opportunities, whether it's with CTE at the high school, all of the different after school activities and programs that we're able to add at the middle school, thanks to the foundation, and opportunities that we have throughout the district. Weaknesses, as Joe said, we're a property poor district. We're almost always going to have financial issues. And that's why, as Eric mentioned, it's good to have a board that understands the finance side of it. And in Kansas, school finances is not an easy thing to grasp your hands around. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Votaw.
All right, well, we have so many strengths, a minute is certainly not enough, but I'm going to rattle off several here real quickly. As the others mentioned, I do not want to downplay this, and I will mention this first and foremost is our staff, hands down. What makes us one of the elite districts in the state. Our community and the support that we have from our community manifested within the Eudora Schools Foundation, just an unbelievable organization and unbelievable support from our community. I think we have outstanding facilities. I think we have tremendous MTSS program that we've implemented and tried to iterate over the years to meet the needs of our students. The items are unlimited, our ed tech programs and on and on. So we could go on all day talking about the great things. I think, again, to echo the other two fellas, our district is property poor. That's a challenge we have to overcome each and every year, and that's something we work through and we make it work. Would like to see more opportunities, I think, for like dual credit, advanced placement type courses, preparing our kids for post-secondary opportunities. And then we spent a lot of time on safety over the last several years, and maybe the least safe part about our town is sort of the setup. and the traffic flow, and just where all the buildings are, and trying to get people around. We have a tremendous shuttle program, but we obviously have work to do with our partners in the community to try to improve our traffic.
Thank you, Eric. Heather Whalen.
I agree with everything that has been said, and there was a lot mentioned. And so instead of listing several, I'm going to go a little deep on a couple of them. The thing that 7 years ago, when we were looking for a community to live in where we could raise our kids and they could enter the school systems, it became very clear quickly how dedicated and compassionate and caring the staff is. I have served as a substitute teacher for the last 5 years. I've been in every building in the district multiple times. I've taught at every grade level, and I have seen over and over and over again the commitment of our staff, our administrators, our certified staff, the classified staff, to the education, the well-being, the mental health of our kids. And I think the last 18 months showed how willing they are to go above and beyond. I think that's a tremendous strength that is not seen in a lot of districts, and I could not be more pleased to be a part of this community and to watch those staff. The other thing, when we were looking to move here, one of the things we noticed was the foundation heart in all these buildings around town, and we wondered what that was about. And I grew up in a small town in Western Kansas, and I clearly notice that this is a community. It's not just a drive-by community. It's not just a bedroom community. That every building, every business had that symbol, showed that this community was committed and dedicated to a focus of the schools. And so I think that's one of our strengths.
Thank you, Heather. Claire Harding.
So one of Campbell, my fifth graders, spelling words this week is qualified. Qualified. Our staff just aren't qualified. That's actually the sentence I gave him to spell it correctly. He's still working on ILIF. But anyway, qualified. They're way beyond qualified. Heather mentioned how dedicated they are, how the hours that they put in. This is our custodial staff, our lunch, our food service staff, grounds crew, and of course our para support, our SPED teachers. Also, like Heather, I'm a substitute teacher. I've been doing that for 5 years in every building, and I'm blown away every time. What it takes to be to leave the classroom, all of the amount of work that they have to do before they just get to go to their dentist appointment is astounding. And I am always blown away by how the students are respectful. They're prepared when their teachers are out because of all the extra hours and all the extra work. Area to improve, I would say getting our teachers what they need. The foundation does a great job of rewarding innovation and filling some of those holes that teachers have, but let's give our teachers extended professional development, not just classroom resources, but opportunities for growth and just blasting us out of the water with the preparedness.
Thank you. Karis Grostadere.
So some of the strengths of this district, all of them have really been, I've agreed with everything that people have said about the staff being wonderful. I've actually graduated from Eudora High School, and I know a lot of them personally. It cracked me up when Eric called Mr. Seiler Bob, because Mr. Seiler was my English teacher. So I've been here for a while, and I really can't say enough good things about the school and the school district. I love the fact that when my kids couldn't drive, they could walk to the shuttle, and I felt that they were safe there. You know, their aunt was driving their shuttle bus. Like, Eudora is just a great community. The schools really, you can really tell that it's a place where children are valued. Things that we could improve. You know, honestly, I don't know enough of the inner workings of the school yet to know things that can be improved. I would agree with the current board members that talk about having trouble with raising money through property taxes and bonds. So that would be something that I'd be interested in getting to know more about.
Thank you, Karis. Samantha Arredondo.
Yes, the same kind of what everyone said. The staff is amazing. We have an amazing staff. The last 18 months, they've gone above and beyond, and it's everyone. You can see it, you can feel it. It's Bob at the bus stop. It's Judy, who's the best cooker at the preschool my kids have ever had, the teachers, the paras, everyone. I just say enough good things. The other thing too in this district, partnerships. The partnerships with the foundation is amazing. Bert Nash, people raise their hand, we need this. People are willing to figure it out. Nobody just sits there and goes, man, what should we do? People are jumping in, getting it done. And that's just, I was blown away, to come into this community and see that. And it just made me want to be a part of it. I think, of course, things that we can improve on, right? We'll all, finances all day, always going to be a challenge. Here, you got to get creative sometimes with what that looks. Also too is I really go back to in our family too. It's like we're raising kids of the world. Like, how do we pull that lens back just a little bit more and make sure that we're getting citizens of the world ready here for life outside of Eudora, outside of Douglas County. Those opportunities to bring that culture into our community.
Thank you, Samantha. It's great to hear the passion that all of the candidates have for our school district. Question number 3. In August, our current school board voted to make the wearing of masks optional for students and staff at EMS and EHS. Please comment on the effectiveness of this policy. First, Karis Grostadier.
Well, first of all, I would say that I agree with the way that the board voted. I think that now that the vaccines are available, widely available, even boosters now available, that makes perfect sense. And I would say that the effectiveness seems to be there. There haven't been any major quarantines that I know of. I don't know of any staff or students that have been hospitalized with the COVID infection. What I worried about most was that people were going to get other little infections because we've been in masks for so long, and it did feel like that may have happened. But just to keep it short and sweet, I think that it's been a good policy.
Thank you. Samantha Arredondo.
What I've seen on my time over the last 2 years is you have people who are dedicated and committed to making the best decision that we can at the time, right? It's always a moving target. The information, you're literally being asked to make a decision with not all the information, and then it's going to change. I think everyone around that table, the professionalism, it could have gone a lot of ways, right? And the professionalism from everyone, and we didn't always agree on, we didn't all always vote the same way every time, but everyone walked away. I think that goes back to, the board really leading your community. Everybody led in the best, way forward they felt at the time with the information that they had. I think it's an issue, right? And you make the best decision that you can with the information that you're provided. And I feel like everybody around that table did that and will continue to do that in the weeks, months, years going forward.
Thank you. Claire Harding.
Thank you, Mr. Seiler. It's divisive to take a stand about masks. I know that the current board had to wade through so many emails, personal comments. Some people pull them aside wherever they are in the community to specifically address this issue. My take is I'm not an expert, and people who are experts are making policies to keep us all safe, to keep us all healthy, and to make sure that there is as little disruption to classroom time and to family schedules and who's going to pick up the kids when and what if they have to go home for 10 days. Policies are in place. The guidance from county health officials, from our state health boards, help us have as little disruption to the classroom as possible, and I support those policies.
Thank you.
That was my time.
Mike Kelso.
I believe, unfortunately, it's still the answer is still out there, whether or not it's being effective or not. At the high school, because I'm going to guess that a lot of our students, most of our staff are vaccinated. We currently are only at 24% of the number of cases we had all last year. At the middle school, that's not necessarily the case. We're only roughly 8 or 9 weeks into the school year. We already are at 55% of the number of cases we had in students last year. We're already there at the middle school. We're at 66% of the number of cases we had and staff at the middle school. So I think we don't know if it's effective or not. I'm still steadfast in the belief that we should still have a mask mandate throughout the district to err on the side of caution. And it's, as Claire said, I'm not an expert, but I've tried to do my best to listen to the experts as this has been explained to us. And unfortunately, it's been a moving target. And as those experts learn more, they do change what they're saying to us. We have to listen to them.
Thank you. Eric Votaw.
Yeah, thanks. I am in support of the decision to make it optional when the school year began. I would continue to hold that position. I think that we've not really seen a whole lot of disruption to the day and the school day for kids missing a lot of class this year. But more importantly, I think the positive side of it is that we have just kids being able to feel like it's getting back to normal, finding a routine, maybe helping them excel in their studies, less distractions. Maybe it helps from a mental health standpoint, being able to, read body language, facial expressions better. All of those things, I think, no doubt, are an improvement over what our students experienced last year. So do strongly believe that it is an individual's choice and responsibility to decide what they want. I know we did hear from county leaders. We saw the article in the paper today that said with even though counts are low, there's still always going to be a risk, including the flu, and that they could envision a scenario where they would like to see masks become a permanent thing, kind of year round. And I know that that's probably something that we want to take seriously, but I would prefer to avoid having to go to that extreme measure. But overall, I do approve of an individual's right to choose if they would like to wear a mask or not.
Thank you. Heather Whalen.
I have really appreciated the leadership of our superintendent and our school board this year regarding the masks. I too believe that it is masks are a health decision, and I believe that parents make the best decisions for them and their children, and that it should be up to each family what they feel comfortable with, what they feel best. Again, lots of time spent substituting in the classrooms this year, and I can tell you there's a significant improvement in kids' mental health, in their attitude, in just the overall joy and excitement in the buildings. And I think a lot of that has to do with masks. And whether just to have the freedom of the choice to that. And I have been utterly amazed and impressed with the leadership at the middle school and the high school and how they've addressed to make it perfectly acceptable, whatever decision each child and family has made regarding that. And so I think with 9 weeks into the school year, we've had great success allowing people the choice for themselves.
Thank you. Joe Hurla.
Well, man, I'm glad I'm last because I must have missed this even being an issue. So if this has been in the media or anything, I'm completely ignorant of it. Look, I think looking back on the last 18 months, it has been trying on parents, on students, on staff, being in and out of school. So I think first and foremost, my priority is I want students in the classroom, in front of teachers, face to face, and I want to keep them healthy at the same time. So I will say whatever it takes to do that, I'm supportive of. I do think that the policy that the board has adopted to this point has allowed us to do that. I think that certainly it's anecdotal, and I know that we'll be able to evaluate it all fully when the whole thing is played out, hopefully sooner rather than later. But I think right now what we can say is we are in the classroom. There has been minimal level of disruption. Eric mentioned flu. There's going to continue to be cases of COVID. It's terrible, and it presents a legitimate health risk that we want to continue to minimize. But I think for the time being, unless something changes, the policy that the board has been a good one. And I hope to see that as we expand vaccinations to the younger group of students, that we'll be able to expand that optional requirement at that time as well.
Thank you. Our next question. Teacher shortages, as well as other school personnel shortages, have been issues for districts throughout Kansas. What are your thoughts on how to recruit and retain the best school personnel to Eudora? We'll start off with Heather Whalen.
This is definitely a challenge facing all the schools in the district. I mean, in the state and really around the country. I think there's many ways to go about it. I think we might need to do a better job, or a potential way is just through social media and promoting Eudora schools as best we can. Young college students, young teachers, they live their world through social media often, and not in the old-fashioned ways that I did when I became a teacher and how I got recruited. And so I think we need to be creative in our ways of seeking out new potential hires, be it new young teachers or teachers from other districts, but making our district a viable and an exciting district for them to come to. And I think we could expand our social media presence and be more targeted maybe towards seeking and recruiting teachers. I think we have to be creative currently with our shortages. I think in a way I see teachers wearing lots of hats. That's always going to be the case as a teacher. There's no way around it. But I think at times we're spreading our teachers really thin. And so in the meantime, I think some of my strategies, I believe, would be to maybe really get back to, for lack of better words, back to the basics a little bit, and really keep our focus for our teachers on our core values of educating our kids academically. And I think that can still be done, not taking away any of the enrichment programs, but just be creative maybe in the way that we're to keep our teachers not spread quite so thin.
Thank you, Heather. Mike Kelso.
One of the new ways that we've been using recently, and it has helped, is the new sign at the high school, which thank you to the Hoovers for that donation, in that we've had paras advertised there on that sign, and it's actually resulted in 3 hires in the last couple of weeks. I learned that at the co-op board meeting last night. I agree we have to get creative because the traditional methods aren't working, and paras are one area where we really are short. We're short at every building, and every building in the co-op is short. And to show that the traditional methods don't work, Dr. Ray, the head of the cooperative, participated in a job fair, a traditional job fair down in Baltimore. There's 14 different businesses that were there. They had 2 applicants show up for all 14 businesses, not just 2 applicants for the cooperative, but 2 for the entire job fair. And obviously that's not working. So we have smart people. We have smart people in the district. We have smart people in the cooperative, and we've got to figure out how to reach out to those potential candidates. And we have to be able to make it attractive to them as well.
Thank you. Eric Vota.
Yeah, this is something that really is not unique to education at this point. It is prevalent throughout our society and our economy, and even my day job is spending hours trying to think of ways to market our company, the positions, the opportunities to try to attract employees. We are fortunate in our location. You know, we are not Western Kansas or other parts of the Kansas. We do have a pretty large population we can draw from, but we have to have the right leadership. That sort of fosters that environment that is compelling for folks to want to come work in. We need to market, what our not just like salary opportunities, but really what the benefits that come from that, both in a defined benefit, but also the community that they become a part of. It just has to be a constant focus that we work on to address. And, I think one thing that we are fortunate of is we are in the business of educating, and we do have that opportunity. This isn't an immediate solution, but if we really spend the time and resources on that teaching pathway in that middle school, high school area, we can really maybe generate that interest within our students that they want to serve in a school district in some way. Maybe that's 2 years out of school, maybe that's 4, 6, 8 years down the road, but we do have that opportunity to try to.
Joe Hurla.
Yeah, I think that identifying what needs to happen is somewhat easy. We need to create a culture and an atmosphere that is attractive and inviting, and a place that people want to teach and work. And we want to compensate people fairly and competitively with other opportunities that exist. So I just told you what the problem is. Now the challenge is that we need to be able to do those things. And establishing the culture is problematic and difficult to shift over time. Generally speaking, we have a culture and a community that people want to be a part of. Certainly, there's ways to improve there, and we need to continue to strive toward that. But we also, on the financial side, the board has made it a priority to push compensation upward. But at the same time, we are in kind of pigeonholed between some communities that have more financial resources, which means that our teacher pay scale, our paras, our substitutes, everybody is faced with other opportunities where there's better compensation potentially. And so we need to continue to make that a priority. And as we work through our budget, do what we can to make sure that we're constantly striving to achieve those goals.
Thank you. Claire Harding.
I also want to address teacher retention because it's no surprise to anyone in this space that teachers are leaving Eudora. So let's talk about how we get teachers to stay. The ones that we have right now, we've already talked about: qualified, overqualified, incredible. Let's get them to stay here by listening to them. There's a lot of information that flows when a teacher leaves. There's information, the stay interviews, all of that data exists. I think we need to ask the right questions. We need to listen to the answers and really make it a priority to solve problems. There's a lot of reasons why people leave. I don't know what they are. It's our job though to make it a comfortable place to stay. Joe mentioned culture. I would also like to highlight that. Relationship building, being heard, being valued. Teachers know what they're worth to our community, to their leaders, to their administrators, their board. That fosters the willingness to stay and put up with lower pay. Although I also think that we need to make it a financial priority to pay our people what they're worth and more all the time. Just really recognizing that we're tasked with this. We need to keep our people because they are incredible.
Thank you. Samantha Arredondo.
Yeah, what everybody said here, right, is look that we're in. I talk with candidates every day. What are they looking for? They're looking for an environment where they feel valued. They're looking for value, work-life balance, right, all the things. Also paying, right? Yeah, we've worked really hard on the board to keep, the salaries as going forward as we can. That's always going to be an issue. But I think we can really work on fostering an environment where people feel valued, where we can, to new teacher recruits, show them, hey, these are the partnerships that we have. And this is really the environment that you're coming into, because it's such a special place. I feel like when you get here and you see all the resources that are around you, that not all districts provide, and really, to kind of piggyback what everybody else was saying, but to retain the staff that we have here and to show them that we value them as well.
Thank you. Karis Grostadere.
I think that recruiting, just to kind of talk about what Heather did, I think that recruiting using social media would be something that could be very effective. Recruiting with our own graduates who want to continue on with education. We have many people here who have been part of Eudora for a long time. Eudora seems to keep its people here. I think that you could look into maybe setting up some partnerships with different schools to say, hey, we have this many spots where you can do student teaching, because I bet, at least in my profession, when you have students come in, it's really easy to find good people and keep them. As far as keeping people, I think that setting up mentorship programs or continuing the ones that we have, and really investing in good leaders is very important because, people don't stay if they don't feel valued, and they don't stay if they don't feel like the company or organization is going anywhere. So leaders help that.
Thank you. I'm going to skip question number 5, which dealt with looming challenges, because many of you have already spoken about Eudora being a property poor district and the financial challenge that presents. I'm going to go to question number 6. What do you consider to be the most important influence on a student's education? We know that parents have a tremendous influence on a child's education. So let's take parents out of the equation. And what can you, as a school board member, what do you think is the most important influence on a student's education? And we're going to start with Mike Kelso.
Opportunity. And in opportunity, it's equity and equality. Every student needs to have the same opportunities to succeed, no matter what their background, no matter what their finances are, no matter who their parents are. Each and every student needs to be able to see what's available in our school district, make the choices that are best going to help them succeed in their student life and in their career beyond. And we also need to provide them the guidance to help them make those decisions through counselors, psychologists, teachers, staff, coaches, all of that. They all play a role in finding what works for each student and the individual plans that we need to create for each student. And it's going to be different for each student so that we can have them succeed. And whether that's going to college, whether that's going to a job, going to the military, going to a tech ed program, all of those, we need them to be successful in life.
Thank you. Heather Whalen. I think you're muted, Heather.
Sorry about that. I just saw that. My belief that the number one success for students is that they feel known and cared for. And so my belief, the power of relationships is what makes a student successful. And for that to be true, we have to have teachers who care. And Eudora schools, the teachers care. And so, but I think what we can do to help that would be to provide the resources for the teachers to be able to have margin and time and space to build relationship with students. I think we need to make sure that students have the resources when they are coming to school to have the capacity and I think Eudora does a great job of providing supplemental food situations and clothing situations through the Bird's Nest. I think there's a lot that goes into supporting our students so that they can come to school prepared and ready. But without question, as my years of teaching in the urban core, I've taught in suburbia, I've taught in lots of different situations, and all kids can learn, but they have to feel loved and cared for and known. And that, so for me, the most important thing is relationship with, it could be the classroom teacher, it could be the administrator, it could be the school counselor, it could be even they make friends with the bus driver, but that they are known and cared for is the number one indicator of success.
Thank you. Joe Hurla.
I actually want to give Heather kudos. I think what I wanted to point out is I think that students need to feel valued, and however that can come across and that sense of value can be created is important. I think that our middle school, and this isn't to say that the other schools haven't done it well, but I know that our administration and some of the teachers at the middle school have talked to some of us about having meetings on a routine basis where they go through the names of individual students and say, do you know this student? Who here knows this student? Who could this student talk to? Who would they stop in the hall and connect with? And I think for every student to have a sense of connection with staff and then with students in the facility is vital. I mean, especially we skipped the question about challenges, but obviously I did actually see in the news about COVID. There's been some health and mental health issues, and I think creating an opportunity for students to connect in the facilities and in the district is vital. And I think we as a board, that's one of the things when we create new opportunities, extracurricular programs, things like that, it's not because we necessarily want to have, say, a golf program We do, but what we want is more students to find that niche where they can connect and really find that value.
Thank you. Eric Votaw.
Yeah, I think Heather and Joe really hit it right on the head. It's about positive relationships and forming relationships with those students, creating that channel of communication with them, having them feel comfortable, and it's an environment in which they can do their best work. You know, we talk a lot about providing a whole child education. If that's an individual plan of study and how we approach each child differently to try to meet them where their needs are. So much of that is making sure we understand where their needs are, having that relationship with them, and just encouraging them what their what their goals are. Again, as Joe said, skipping that challenge is one of the things I think that works counter to that, and is one of the biggest challenges that we face, not just in our district, but across the country. And the other board members, apologize you heard me say this, but I feel like social media is we are in a dire state today because of social media and the impact it has on our kids. And any positive influence we can have that counters that negative influence that social media is providing them is maybe the best service that we can provide to our students.
Thank you. Samantha Arredondo.
Engagement. I mean, the students need to be engaged, right, with what's going on, and to have someone there that's a champion for them, whether it's Bob at the bus stop, whether it's the parent in the room, whether it's the teacher, to be engaged in what's going on and have the opportunity, that equity, like Mike was speaking of, to have that equity for everyone, and to have those opportunities available to every child, no matter what language you speak or what home life looks like, to have a place where you can come and be engaged, have a champion, and to build those relationships with teachers. That's what's going to make them successful through our building and beyond. Because again, we're preparing the next generation citizens of this world.
Thank you. Karis Grostadier.
So you can't be successful unless you are unless you're cared for and you feel safe. You can't learn unless you feel like your basic needs have been met. So I think that Eudora schools do a good job of doing that for students. I think that one way that we can influence student successes are programs that are already in place that do a great job, like I think it's in place. When my daughter was in school, she was did part of the CAP program. So all the way from elementary school up to helping the students take their ACTs in high school, doing things that help get the students some college credit and preparing them for the workforce or for the world or for whatever may be beyond Eudora schools. Those are some ways that we can help influence a student's success.
Thank you. Claire Harding.
It's been mentioned before by other candidates, but I believe that students' success is really reliant on their sense of belongingness. That's built through relationships with adults, with their peers. Peer mentorship programs do that. Relationship with adults. I feel like I'm repeating everything that everyone already said. When I absolutely believe that Eudora school teachers provide that one caring adult of one of three that students need to succeed in their lives. I heard a health professional say that a number of years ago at our Principal for Half Day event that the foundation held, and it's just been ringing true. I think that the Link Up mentorship program at the middle school is one place that's really begun to do that work over the past 3-4 years. Connecting our community to our students. More peer-to-peer mentorship opportunities would be an area to improve. I know that we're not talking about challenges because kids need to know that they're seen, that they're heard, and I want to be able to make Eudora schools home for everyone, meeting their basic needs and giving them all the supports of that.
Thank you. Due to time restraints, we're going to skip question 7 and go right to the closing statements. You'll have 1 minute to plead your case. You have all been great tonight. All right, first up, Samantha Arredondo.
I just want to say thank you, everyone, again, who put this together. This has been great. We appreciate your time here. I, again, just want to say thank you to the current board, everyone that's on it. You entrusted me 2 years ago by nominating me for this seat. You took a chance on a girl you didn't know, which I really feel like just plays to so much about what Eudora is. They had other known entities to them that they decided that they wanted to go another direction. So I just want to say thank you. I want to continue to just serve on the board to keep pushing our district forward. Again, we're raising citizens of the world here. The staff are amazing in this district to keep advocating for them, for the students and staff and the community here in Eudora. Thank you.
Thank you. Claire Harding.
I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with other board members and really work through some of these hard things facing our community. I think that you got a lot of choice to make, constituency, but the people that serve on the school board have to be committed to service, committed to our community, known entity or not. I think it really takes a person who listens well, who gives of their time, gives opportunity to be heard, to students, to community members, to staff people. I want to do that on the school board, as I've done in classrooms and in the hallways for years. I'm a listener, I'm a volunteer, and I want to keep doing that on the school board. Don't forget to vote on November 2nd. Claire Harding for Eudora.com shows you how you can vote. Learn more about me. You're certainly welcome to ask me more questions through an email, through the website. This has been a great opportunity to talk to Eudora tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. Karis Grostadere.
As someone who's not quite a lifelong Eudorian, but I've been here for a very long time, I've been through the school district. I've had my kids grow up through the school district. I am married to a Eudora alum. I've just been part of Eudora for a really long time. I really care about it. I just watched the city commission before this, and it was so exciting to see where the city is going. And I would like to help move the school district along with that. I've been a volunteer in the community for a long time, and I would like to continue to be a servant for Eudora. I feel like I do bring maybe a different perspective. I'm not an educator. I've done plenty of educating in my field, but I think that possibly an outside perspective that's not education based would be really beneficial. So that's why I would like to be a part of the school board.
Thank you, Karis. The previous 3 speakers are running for 1 open seat. The next 4 speakers are running for 3 open seats. Heather Whalen.
7 years ago, when my husband and I were looking to move out of the Kansas City area, we spent a lot of time driving all over north, south, east, and well, not east of Kansas City, but west. And Eudora grabbed our hearts almost instantly. And once we moved here and dove into the school system, we haven't looked back. I have enjoyed immensely substituting, getting to know the staff, administrators, teachers. I feel like I have a really good grasp on what strengths and weaknesses our schools have and what we need. I've loved serving on the middle school site council, volunteering in several different organizations within the schools, and just watching my kids come through the school districts, through the schools. it would be an honor and a privilege. I feel like I bring a unique perspective of having served on a board for 12 years. I grew up in a tiny farm town. I've taught in the inner city, but we live here in Eudora and have committed to everything that goes on in this town, and we have really enjoyed it and loved it. And I would love the opportunity to serve and bring an educator's perspective. Karis is right. It's the value of a school board is having multiple points of view, and be that nurses or lawyers or business people. But I think a gap that I could fill is that to be an educator, a lifelong educator, and be that voice on the board. Thank you for this time.
Thank you. Joe Hurla.
Yeah, I want to thank Bob not just for moderating this forum, but also for the visible and audible pleasure he takes every time he says "Arredondo." I've enjoyed that this evening as much as anything. So as we go forward, I think I want to refocus on what really matters in education. I think that we've, as a board and as society, been distracted in the last year and a half, rightfully so at times. But I am very excited about what Eudora is and about the things happening in Eudora, but I'm far more excited about what Eudora can be and the things that can happen. And I want to, as a member of the board, hopefully refocus on that and help us move toward what we can be and what we can do.
Thank you. Mike Kelso.
I'd like to say thank you again to the sponsors of the event, for those of you that have put on this Zoom conference, and thank you to the other candidates for taking the time to join us, and to all of those that are watching out there on the internet to give your time to see what's going on and to play a role in the selection of our future school board. It's been an absolute honor and privilege to serve on the board for the last 12 and a half years. I got to see the love and support that this community can provide 16 years ago during a health crisis. And it is because of that that I have always strived to give back. I know that I will never be able to give back everything that I got, and know that if I'm reelected, I will continue to fight for, as I said, the three groups of people that I represent, that being the students, the staff, and the patrons and parents of the district. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Eric Votaw.
Hey, thanks, Bob. It looks like I have the last word tonight. I just want to thank everyone for joining us, and particularly, I don't think I've ever been at a forum where every single candidate on the ballot showed up. So that says something about sort of the candidates we have, the option we have before us. One thing I've always appreciated about our board is that we come from a very diverse set of backgrounds and different points in our life and in different roles. And I think we have a great selection of candidates here where that tradition will continue. It's been an honor and privilege to serve these last 3 terms. I did not really anticipate when I started this that I would still be going, but COVID had a funny effect on me in that it was such a dark period for the last 18 months that we're starting to come out of that fog and seeing just all the tremendous things that we've accomplished and all the great things that are ahead of us. And I want to be a part of that. My wife is an educator, and her family are a family full of educators. I appreciate that perspective, and I look forward to being able to continue to provide the same sort of leadership on the board as I have in the past. So thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Now I have the last word. I'd like to thank all of the candidates and our audience for attending tonight's forum. We are very fortunate to have 7 outstanding candidates running for 4 open seats. You've all showed great passion for the Eudora School District tonight. They don't all agree on each issue, but they are intelligent candidates who know how to disagree agreeably. We have a choice. Not all communities are as fortunate as Eudora. Now it's time to vote and let your voice be heard by voting. Thanks once again to our sponsors, the Eudora Library, USD 491, and the Eudora Democrats. Special thanks goes out to Noreen Spears for running Zoom, Becky Plate for publicizing our meeting, and Penny Von Aken for coordinating the entire event. Early voting at the Douglas County Courthouse began today, October 13th, as did voting by mail. Election day is November 2nd. Word is that there will be an early voting session in Eudora, but that has not been decided yet. Thank you for watching, and good night.